session. We're actually going to start with a keynote here by Magali Ader. The geochemistry group is committed to achieving diversity and equality, and so we thought that it would be sensible and right to actually start talking about by talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, inclusivity initiatives, and especially the ones that have been set up last year by the Geochemical Society. The first, Magali Ader is the chair of the first DEI committee set up by the Geochemical Society, and she's going to talk to us today about the efforts that have been made throughout last year. Magali is actually a professor of geochemistry, stabilized of geochemistry in the IPG Paris. Her main research interests are in developing stabilized tools to study sedimentary processes and environmental depositions processes as well. So, but today, yeah, she was going to talk about the DEI efforts from the Geochemical Society. So Magali, if you want to share your screen now, and then we will listen to you. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Can everybody see the screen and hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, well, thank you very much for allowing me to present this for the first time, and also for opening the floor today. I'm going to try to do my best. I have so many things to say. So I've decided to construct this talk as a kind of a story, even if it's not really a story. And I decided to do so because when someone tells you something about things, they have their own personal view of what they are telling. That influences interpretation of what happened and things like that. So I wanted to make it clear that since I'm the one telling that story, it will be strongly influenced by who I am. So I'm going to start by introducing myself so you know from which perspective I'm going to tell you this story. First point is that I have some insight about what happened because I've been involved with the Geochemical Society for a few years now. I started, very reasonably sitting on one of the awards committee. And then I joined the board of directors in 2017 as its international secretary. And I decided then to contribute to the ethics committee. And very recently, as you were told, I agreed to chair the first DEI committee. When I'm not, it doesn't want to move. Okay. So when I'm not in the GEI society, I work for IPGP, Institut de Physique du Globe de Paris, which recently joined Université de Paris. So I identify as a woman. I'm a mid to late career professor. My research field is not extraordinary at all, but I don't know why, I seem to have instilled trust to lead people. So this is how I got my associate professor position in 2001 at IPGP, where I did my PhD. In fact, the leadership there wanted me to stay. This is also how I got promoted, but if you looked at all standard criteria, it was not deserved. And I also see that I'm often asked to coordinate projects and teams. So there is something that has value there that is not usually recognized on CV and that has been recognized throughout my career. With this, the other thing is that I do not withstand pressure very well. So far, this has led me to giving up on more demanding leadership position, but hopefully this might change sometimes. My inner landscape is the following. Again, it's a bit countercurrent compared to the usual discourse. In fact, I like discovery science. I think that when you know what you look for, you find it even if it's not there, and that you do not see what else is there to be seen. And this is not what you are told, and this is not what research proposal ask you to do. But this is how I like to do science. And the other thing is that when I do research, of course, I like to make discoveries that can ultimately empower humanity, but even more, I like to do it as a path that during which I can develop my own humanity. So this is the two main aspects of my inner landscape when I'm related to my work. And it's from this perspective that I will tell you my story of the GS DEI committee. So now a little bit of context on the Geochemical Society itself. It has recently done investigation to try to resituate itself and has decided that it wanted to be, so it's quite recent, it's 2 years old, a collaborative international community of scientists who explore, learn, and teach geochemistry. Well, so that's a recent aim, recent definition of what they want to be, of what we want to be. It was founded in 1955, so it's quite old. It has been erroneously perceived very often as the North American Society of Geochemistry. It's true that North Americans are the biggest membership and the office is based in the US, but in fact, it's truly international in the sense that, for example, the GS president has to come in alternate years from North America, Europe, and the rest of the world, which means that the executive team composed of the president, the vice president, and the past president is showing this diversity of country of work, place of work. The main activities, you probably know that, but is the Goldschmidt conference organized every other year by the GS or the EAG. There, it's also to award honors jointly, most of them jointly with the EAG. And there are also quite a few publication activities. DEI efforts were underway before the Minneapolis Tragedy and before the DEI committee. I will give you a few examples. In 2018, we created the first ethics policy for the GS. And this is where, for the first time, inclusion and equity are explicitly articulated as GS core values. So this was before the event. By doing this, we realized that it belonged to us as members of the GS to define the core values, what it is that we think we want to do, and to redefine them as the society in general and our GS society evolves. So we need to align our value to the world we live in and the challenges we have to face. When we realized that, we then realized that the criteria for our major award were not in line with what we thought should be. So the next step was to redefine this criteria. Here it's written, this didn't change much. It's bestowed annually to EAG and GS upon outstanding scientists who have, over the years, made major contribution to the field of geochemistry. What we redefine here was what we mean by major contribution. And before that, it major discovery and publication, high citation index, blah, blah, blah. Since then, we decided that, of course, major contribution would include this, but it would not be limited to that. Many other contributions needed to be valued, like improvement to infrastructures and technique, capacity building, especially in developing countries, curation of sample, blah, 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 blah. So we wanted a whole diversity of contribution to be acknowledged and their value to be shown to others through awards. So this was our aim in 2019. One of our aims, sorry. What else did we did? So equity and inclusion efforts were also under the way. So we managed to get funding for grants to support travel to the Goldschmidt for scientists from low income and lower middle income economies. So we had a committee selecting applications. We also set up a capacity building grant to try to promote networking, additional activities, etc., in lower to middle economies country. And there's also the mentoring program during Goldschmidt, the Amigo program. Diversity efforts were also underway. GCA, the Geochemical Society main publication, scientific publication, had started increasing its associate editor gender balance and diversity by the time, as you can see in this diagram that is put together at the moment by the writing team. I will talk about that later. And the first changes to the EAG and GS award system were under the way. Not only we changed the criteria, but we started to draft best practice guideline, create a nomination committee, etc. So this shouldn't be there. Okay. Okay, so this is where we stood when the Minneapolis tragedy happened and the death of George Floyd in police custody occurred. So we stood there, we were trying hard, but there was still no progress on diversity. We could see that it was not really happening, especially from the award fronts. So this realization, together with a trigger from members of the GS that wrote to the GS at the time, we wrote a statement. Well, the GS executive team wrote a statement acknowledging this, that we have to acknowledge that for the moment it's not going the way we want. So from this, it went very quickly. There was a town hall held right after that to address these issues and try to see where we wanted to go. And the DEI committee was formed and met for the first time in August. So this DEI committee operates monthly via monthly meetings. It has now several working groups shared, sorry for the spelling mistake, with EAG. They have their own life, they report during full meetings, and they can include, this is very important, people from outside both committees. And this committee is strongly linked to other entities so that we work in the same direction. Of course, the EAG DEI committee, but the GS board and the Global DEI Forum, where people from various societies meet bi-monthly to share their progress. The main activities since its creation have been to find its voice, discuss various aspects, and move into action when someone felt the drive to lead actions. The first one that was put in place was to increase in the social media the voice of scientists from diverse backgrounds. And there is, if you go there, we have a very convenient online forum to suggest new content. So please feed these with any ideas you have. It's quite straightforward. There was another town hall that addressed how mentoring in geochemistry could be a tool for more inclusive and equitable environments. Two papers reporting the status on diversity and the opinions that the discussions in the DEI committee have led to. So there are data and opinion papers. And in the underway, a lot of efforts around awards, because we want that our awards embody the diversity of type of contribution and the diversity of people. So this is under the way. It will take several years, but it will go incrementally. And to improve equity, we have also a working group trying to set up a virtual mentoring program. So this is under the way. I don't have anything to present yet. Finally, to conclude, for me, what were the main difficulties? What are they with this whole dynamic? The first one is to lift my own barriers, to believe that we together can actually bring about some changes. The second one is to make time, because this needs a lot of work and you have to do it. So make time is difficult. Deal with frustrations when things do not happen. This is hard as well. And this together is a lot of psychic load and work, and it can be quite overwhelming. So you have to learn how to deal with stress, because It's even worse than with research, because there is so much of your values at stake that it's really very overwhelming. The main rewards were to see some of your dreams come true, to know that you have been part of making them come true, to live up to your values. I'm finished.
Thanks very much, Magali, and we can see this is a bit, you know, this is very much heartfelt, and we very much appreciate what you have said and what you came to talk about today. This is very important for everyone in here, and you know, we can thank you again for this. Do you have any questions for Magali in the audience? But perhaps when you're writing them down. Can I ask, how can actually the rest of your meeting can get involved and help you in your endeavors in the DEI Committee of the Geochemical Society? Are there formal ways that are set up already, or is this more informal at the moment?
So I must admit, in the effort to control my emotions, I didn't concentrate. So if you can rephrase.
Yeah, so it's just I was just wondering if are there formal ways in which the rest of the community can get and help you your work in the DEI community, or are there more informal ways for now, and those formal ways will be set up in the near future? Okay,
so for the moment, the only formal way is to write an email to one of the addresses I've put together. But and for example, we will renew 2 members of the DEI, and we picked up 2 people that had formally said they would like to contribute. So for the moment, that's the main thing. The other way is to nominate people. Really, we need to nominate people for most awards, contribute to social posts. This is all formal, and that's it for the moment.
Kevin here has a question, Kevin Murphy, and will there be any revision of the system of peer review in GCA in the light of your DEI efforts?
That's a good question. I don't really know yet, but what I know is that I think most of the things that Olivier Pourret, who was the lead author, is an editor there. He knows very well the chief editor, so they already talked about it. So I'm pretty sure that things will move through. What exactly will move through, I can't say. But I know it's been worked. It's been a collaborative work. The writing group worked, the DI group read, the GS and EAG executive commented, and Jeff Catalano as well.
Okay, thanks very much. So yeah, Amy, which is here, actually highlights that there's the 2 papers concerning GCA that are in progress at the moment, and we will put links towards these papers in the chat very soon as well, so that everyone can access them. And one is actually in press with Element.